Hi, this is Ricky, and I'm here to show you the nitty-gritty of planning your campaign. Running a game is important, but planning the right things and knowing how to use the tools you made can make your life so much easier. I've seen quite a few videos out there where the purpose is to help someone run a tabletop RPG, but few actually delve into the planning and organizing that form the backbone of your game. This first episode just touches on some of my organizational tactics and some initial things that every campaign requires, as well as a few reasons why. This is a post that I made on Steemit, clearly 3 days ago. This post has a description about what I'm going to delve into in my first few videos and show you how to do. Uh, this first video will only be going over a few of these things, but I just want to talk about it before going into the actual video. I like to have 3 main NPCs. I like to have 7 enemies to give me lots of different plot lines and people to work with. I like to have extra names ready to use when necessary. I like to have traps and encounters pre-prepared. I like to have room descriptions that can be placed into other extra rooms. I like to have spell books. I like to have treasures. In this post, I have a written description of how I do everything. If you would like to pause and take a minute to read the descriptions, feel free. I'll be scrolling slowly through. If you would like to go on Steemit and check out my post, also feel free. I understand that some people prefer to read and get a grasp on things through visual rather than just listen and watch how I do it. So if you want to work on your own and just take some of my ideas, this might be a good way to do it. But if you want to stay through and watch the entire video and watch my future videos, I hope you guys enjoy. Anyway, that's the entirety of my post. Have fun. So I've been trying to make several videos for a little bit now, and I've run into a lot of issues. Fortunately, it's been a learning experience, and I think I've solved the issues. I'm hoping that this video will be the actual final version and will be the first one that goes to YouTube. What I figured out is that I needed my own mic and headset, which I have now, and I need to have it at a high volume. Unfortunately, that means that it might pick up things like my puppies walking around, because I have wood floors and their claws make little clicking sounds. And it definitely picks up when they try and walk outside, because I have an automatic doggy door. And it even more definitely picks up when they bark. So there are going to be little interruptions because of those things. This might end up just being test number, I don't even know. So let's get started. Postal Adventures is one of the games that I'm currently planning. We're going to be playing online once every 3 weeks on Thursdays. We're going to be playing via Tabletop Simulator, which is going to be very difficult to get all of my friends to get because it's $20 a piece. And we're going to be playing 5th edition D&D. I'm going to probably have 4 to 6 players. That's about what I expect. So we're going to have 4 to 6 players. I already have 3 for sure that are committed. And I have 3 others that have said maybe, or have said, yeah, I'd really like to play, I just need to figure out how to get this set up. And there's a few others who are also considering it, but seem less likely. And I think in the end it'll come down to 4 to 6 players who will make the time and make the purchases of Tabletop Simulator to actually do it. We're going to start at the lower mid-level, 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's going to be a small vessel and a small crew of 1st and 2nd level sailors because it's coastal adventures. Actually, this has been decided. Sally is going to be playing the captain. She's an 8th level sailor with either intimidation or persuasion. Mikey is a 7th level first mate, sailor background as well, and he actually went with the other of intimidation or persuasion. He said it doesn't matter either way, his character's done except for that skill choice, and he's going to base it on what Sally's character chooses. She's going with rogue, swashbuckler, from the Xanthar's Guide to Everything, and Mike is going with a ranger, the mostly the variant version. I did a couple of little tweaks. So variant ranger from Unearthed Arcana. And he's going with the that monster slayer, also from Xanthar's Guide. The rest are going to be 6th level. Catherine is a for sure. Liz is a maybe. Joe is maybe. Vince is maybe. Paul is maybe. P squared is maybe. And his wife Susan is maybe. Kristen is no. Andy is no. Anthony is maybe. Maybe I should call him again. He was actually a pretty solid maybe. And he wants to do it, and he's willing to do the computer stuff, but he has a tough time with time. So I might try and talk to him again. He lives over an hour away from me, and that's really cut down on him actually coming up to game. Also, I wanted to contact Mick. And Joey. Mick's in Ireland, which is quite a distance away from Ohio. And Joey is in Portland, Oregon, I think, which is also quite a distance away from Ohio. And the time zone thing might knock both of them off, but they've both wanted to play with me for a while, so I really need to contact them and let them know that that's what we're going to be doing. Give them a chance to join in if they want to. Okay, so one of the things I do whenever I'm planning a game is I start off with 3 main NPCs, and I split these 6 attributes amongst them. Merchant, land guide, something mysterious, magical guide, divine or arcane. Actually, one game I went with Fey magic, so that I guess it's patron or quest giver, and a safe house, in this case a safe harbor. we've decided that the first NPC is going to be a merchant and patron, and is going to be a captain of another ship. The second is going to be a land guide with a mystery, and is going to be an old crew member. And the third is going to be a priest, magical guide, divine magic, and also offer the safe harbor. We haven't decided what priest the priest is going to be priest of yet, so that's something we got to look into. The main antagonists. I always choose one main antagonist who is often evil and always an enemy of the PCs. No matter what, straight up main antagonist, enemy of the PCs. There's basically nothing they can do to stop that. And of course, there's always something, but I've just never seen it happen, so I say basically nothing. Then I have two sub-antagonists unrelated to the main antagonist. So these are three separate plot lines that I'm writing. I like to have two lieutenants for the main antagonist and one each for the sub-antagonist. So we've got 3 leaders, 4 subordinates total. By having these sub-antagonists, what it means is that if the players like those lines better, these guys can be main antagonists, and I can always just give them another lieutenant. The other thing it means is that the players feel like they aren't getting railroaded, because they're able to decide which plot to go after. They see multiple roads to go down, and so it's not a railroad, it's a path through the woods that they can saunter down, with multiple forks. You want to have a plot line, because going full sandbox, which I've tried, ends up making a world that relies too much on the players. And that's okay to a degree, but your players have to be really, really committed. Much more committed than my players are. To being creative and to really fleshing out your world. It becomes much more of a collaborative thing than a dungeon master and the players. And my players prefer to be players, not extra dungeon masters who happen to have a character. The full sandbox thing just makes it a little bit too... They have to be too self-motivated. That's the way. That's what I'm talking about. Some people are born to greatness. Some people achieve greatness, and others have greatness thrust upon them. That's the old saying, right? My players prefer to have greatness thrust upon them. Some of them like to achieve greatness, and they'll create their own plot lines after they've already done something in game. Like, we might get 2 or 3 quests in, and I'm not talking beat the main antagonist quest in, I'm talking achieve something towards that direction and find out who the antagonists are, and then they start coming up with their own things for their characters. So, anyway, these are the tabs that I usually have on OneNote. And when I say usually, I've just recently switched to OneNote from Evernote and Word. So, I guess I'm just talking this adventure and the last one. So I've got my essentials, which is all of this fun stuff, and I can add more pages over here, which I'm sure I will. Then I've got some descriptions, the ship and the beginning intro, both of which I still need to really flesh out, but that's okay. We aren't starting for another 3 weeks as of yesterday, so that gives me some time. Alright, extra names. This is really easy for me to flesh out because I have a generator, and I will just generate names of the races and culture that they're going to be most interacting with. I've got my first NPC, which clearly needs more description and a name. second NPC, third NPC, all need more. I've got my crew. Right now it's a 12-person crew. Um, and it includes NPC number 2, which is this old crew guy. And they're level. They've got the quartermaster, the navigator, a few lookouts, a cook, and some deckhands. The captain, the first mate, and sometimes NPC 2 are allowed to be helmsmen. Don't have much on my main antagonist. It's an elf, LSR elf. Um, just to let you know, LSR elves are actually orcs in my game. I went with the old mythology that the orcs are just transformed elves, and we actually ran an entire game where that was supposed to be the main antagonist, and they never went after him, and so he transformed 3 different clans of elves into orcs, and they all have their own little attributes that change the elves, which we'll get into when we go over races and sub-races, which will be for another day. I already did the video, or I already did a large part of the video on races, but I haven't done sub-races, and I haven't finished all of the races yet, so we will be going through this. We're also giving him another LSR elf and an Akash Rogath as his 2 lieutenants. The Rogath are basically my cat people. They've been my cat people since 2005, which puts me as quite a long time ago for them. And I see no reason to change their name just because a book was released with an actual cat people by Wizards. And I also don't see a reason to change their stats since I've already dictated what they're going to be for 5th edition long before any book other than the Player's Handbook was out. Alright, our sub-antagonist. We're making an Octron Dragon juvenile, born in 287, nearly 100 years ago, because we're starting in 390 something, or 380 something. Haven't decided exactly what year, but probably like 385. Personality is cheerful and humorous. It's an interesting enemy to have. Hunan Goblin Lieutenant. I like that. Most of my Goblin subraces I named after Chinese locations, and that was just for ease of I needed names at the moment, and China has lots of names, and they're the first people I thought of. So, and then the next antagonist will be a Kartal human, a halfling lieutenant. That's interesting. Actually, we're gonna make you another captain. The Kartal humans are basically Mediterranean Vikings? Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They have oarsmen. They have sails, but they focus a lot on their oarsmen, and they raid lots of people. The halflings, that makes him an Haquan. Halfling lieutenant. I think I spelled that right. I can check on my races later. The Quan halflings are known for how fierce they are, basically. They're also known for the excellent dyes that they get for painting and for coloring things. They live near an inactive volcano in a bay that's super protected from with reefs and stuff, and very difficult to navigate in and out. So the Quan are always on the sea. Makes sense that these two would be there for a coastal adventure. Locations. I've got nothing right now. Treasure. Alright, usually I do one magical treasure per character, one non-magical treasure, or RP treasure per character. These things are things to keep my players interested. The magical treasure uh, always has at least one magical item, usually more, and it's something that that particular character would find more interesting than the other player characters. The non-magical treasure is usually something very tailored to my player characters. For instance, once was playing with a character who was raised by wolves. Her non-magical treasure was a bunch of wolf cubs, which she saved during a forest fire. And she then raised these 4 wolf cubs, and unfortunately the game stopped as she was raising them, but they were going to become her, not quite animal companions, but basically her companions. I mean, they were going to be hers. They were going to be her little babies.